Clash of Kings by George R. Martin. Read to you by The Dark Hollow. Prologue. The comet's tail spread across the dawn, a red slash that bled above the crags of Dragonstone, like a wound in the pink and purple sky. The maester stood on the wind-swept balcony outside his chambers. It was here the ravens came, after a long flight. Their droppings speckled the gargoyles that rose 12 feet tall on either side of him, a hellhound and a wyvern, two of thousand that brooded over the walls of the ancient fortress. When first he came to Dragonstone, the army of stone grotesques had made him uneasy, but as the years passed he had grown used to them. Now he thought of them as old friends. The three of them watched the sky together with foreboding. The maester did not believe in omens, and yet, old as he was, Cresson had never seen a comet half so bright, nor yet that color, that terrible color, the color of blood and flame and sunsets. He wondered if his gargoyles had ever seen its like. They had been here so much longer than he had, and would be still here long after he was gone, if stone tongues could speak. Such folly! He leaned against the battlements, the sea crashing beneath him, the black stone rough beneath his fingers. Talking gargoyles and prophecies in the sky. I'm an old done man, grown giddy as a child again. Had lifetime's hard-won wisdom fled him, along with his health and strength? He was a maester, trained and chained in the great citadel of Old Town. What had he come to, when superstition filled his head as if he were an ignorant field hand? And yet, and yet, the comet burned even by day now, while pale grey steam rose from the hot vents of Dragonmont behind the castle, and yestermorn a white raven had brought word from the citadel itself. Word long expected, but no less fearful for all that. Word of summer's end. Omens all, too many to deny. What does it all mean? He wanted to cry. Maester Cresson, we have visitors. Pylos spoke softly, as if loath to disturb Cresson's solemn meditations. Had he known what drivel filled his head, he would have shouted. The princess would see the white ravens. Ever correct. Pylos called her princess now, as her lord father was a king. King of a smoking rock in the great salt sea, yet a king nonetheless. A fool is with her. The old man turned away from the dawn, keeping a hand on his wyvern to steady himself. Help me to my chair and show them in. Taking his arm, Pylos led him inside. In his youth, Cresson had walked briskly, but he was not far from his 80th name day now, and his legs were frail and unsteady. 2 years past he had fallen and shattered a hip, and it had never mended properly. Last year, when he took ill, the citadel had sent Pylos out from Old Town, mere days before Lord Stannis had closed the isle. To help him in his labors, it was said, but Cresson knew the truth. Pylos had come to replace him when he died. He did not mind. Someone must take his place, and sooner than he would like. He let the younger man settle him beneath his books and papers. Go bring her. It is ill to keep a lady waiting. He waved a hand, a feeble gesture of haste, from a man no longer capable of hastening. His flesh was wrinkled and spotted, the skin so papery thin that he could see the web of veins and the shape of bones beneath. And how they trembled, these hands of his, that had once been so sure and deft. When Pylos returned, the girl came with him, shy as ever. Behind her, shuffling and hopping in that queer sideway walk of his, came her fool. On his head was a mock helm, fashioned from an old tin bucket, with a rack of deer antlers strapped to the crown, and hung with cowbells. With every lurching step, the bells rang, each with a different voice. Clang a dang, bong a dong, ring a ling, clong clong clong. Who comes to see us so early, Pilos? Crescent said. It's me, and Patches, meester. Guileless blue eyes blinked at him. Hers was not a pretty face, alas. The child had her lord father's square jut of a jaw, and her mother's unfortunate ears, along with a disfigurement all her own, the legacy of a bout of grayscale that had almost claimed her in the crib. Across half one cheek and well down her neck, her flesh was stiff and dead, and skin cracked and flaking, mottled black and grey and stony to the touch. Pylos said we might see the white raven. Indeed you may, Crescent answered, as if he would ever deny her. She had been denied too often in her time. Her name was Shireen. She would be 10 on her next name day, and she was the saddest child that Maester Crescent had ever known. Her sadness is my shame, the old man thought, another mark of my failure. Maester Pylos, do me a kind favor, and bring the bird down from the rookery for Lady Shireen. It would be my pleasure. Pylos was a polite youth, no more than 25, yet solemn as a man of 60. If only he had more humor, more life in him. That was what needed here. Grim places needed lightening, not solemnity, and Dragonstone was grim beyond a doubt. A lonely citadel in the wet wastes surrounded by storm and salt, with the smoking shadow of the mountain at its back. A maester must go where he is sent, so Crescent had come here with his lord some 12 years past, and he had served, and served well. Yet he had never loved Dragonstone, nor ever felt truly at home here. Of late, when he woke from restless dreams in which the Red Woman figured disturbingly, he often did not know where he was. The fool turned his patched and piebald head to watch Pylus climb the steep iron steps of the rookery. His bells rang with emotion. Under the sea, the birds have skills for feathers, he sang, clang-a-langing. I know, oh, oh, oh. Even for a fool, Patchways was a sorry thing. Perhaps once he could evoke the gales of laughter with a quip, but the sea had taken that power from him, along with half his wit and all of his memory. He was soft and obese, subject to twitches and trembles, incoherent as often as not. The girl was the only one who laughed at him now, the only one who cared if he lived or died. An ugly little girl, and a sad fool, and Meester makes 3. Now there is a tale to make men weep. Sit with me, child. Crescent beckoned her closer. This is early to come calling, scarce past dawn. You should be snug in your bed. I had bad dreams, Shireen told him, about the dragons. They were coming to eat me. The child had been plagued by nightmares as far back as Maester Crescent could recall. We have talked of this before, he said gently. The dragons cannot come to life. They are carved of stone, child. In olden days, our island was the westernmost outpost of the great freehold of Valyria. It was the Valyrians who raised the citadel, and they had ways of shaping stone since lost to us. A castle must have towers wherever 2 walls meet at an angle for defense. The Valyrians fashioned these towers in the shape of dragons to make their fortress seem more fearsome, just as they crowned their walls with 1,000 gargoyles instead of simple crenellations. He took her small pink hand in his own frail spotted one and gave it a gentle squeeze. So you see, there is nothing to fear. Shireen was unconvinced. "What about the thing in the sky? Dalla and Matris were talking by the well, and Dalla said that she heard the red woman tell Mother that it was dragon's breath. If the dragons are breathing, doesn't that mean they are coming to life?" "The red woman," Meester Crescent thought sourly. "Ill enough that she's filled the head of the mother with her madness. Must she poison the daughter's dreams as well?" He would have a stern word with Della, warn her not to spread such tales. "The thing in the sky is a comet, sweet child, a star with a tail, lost in the heavens. It will be gone soon enough, never to be seen again in our lifetimes. Watch and see." Shireen gave a brave little nod. "Mother said the white ravens mean it's not summer anymore." "That is so, my lady. The white ravens fly only from the citadel." Crescent's fingers went to the chain about his neck, each link forged from a different metal, each symbolizing his mastery of another branch of learning. The Meester's color, mark of his order. In the pride of his youth, he had worn it easily, but now it seemed heavy to him, the metal cold against his skin. "They are larger than other ravens, and more clever, bred to carry only the most important messages. This one came to tell us that the conclave has met, considered the reports and measurements made by meesters all over the realm, and declared this summer done at last. 10 years, 2 turns, and 16 days it has lasted, the longest summer in living memory." "Will it get cold now?" Shireen was a summer child and had never known true cold. "In time," Crescent replied. "If gods are good, they will grant us a warm autumn and bountiful harvest, so we might prepare for the winter to come." The small folk said that a long summer meant an even longer winter, but the meester saw no reason to frighten the child with such tales. Patchface rang his bells. "It is always summer under the sea," he intoned. "The mere wives wear anemones in their hair, and weave gowns of silver seaweed. I know, oh, oh, oh." Shireen giggled. I should like a gown of silver seaweed. Under the sea it snows up," said the fool, "and the rain is dry as bone. I know, I know, oh, oh, oh." "Will it truly snow?" the child asked. "It will," Crescent said, "but not for years yet, I pray, and then not for long. Ah, here's Pylos with the bird." Shireen gave a cry of delight. Even Crescent had to admit that the bird made an impressive sight, white as snow and larger than any hawk, with the bright black eyes that meant it was no mere albino, but a true bred white raven of the citadel. "Here," he called. The raven spread its wings, leapt into the air, and flapped noisily across the room to land on the table beside him. "I'll see to your breakfast now," Pylos announced. Crescent nodded. "This is Lady Shireen," he told the raven. The bird bobbed its pale head up and down as if it were bowing. "Lady," it croaked. "Lady."